me being able to even host this show here. Like for example, in Afghanistan and I think even Iraq, I made a number of videos. I was pretty active with making videos back then for various reasons, and I've got a lot of footage of some big time behind the scenes issues, sometimes on the field of battle during conflict when we were engaging with Taliban, and then just other times, sometimes what was going on behind the scenes, how the military was performing. And I'm going to show you. We're going to pull one video per week, and we're going to, so you'll be able to see, some things that you have never seen before, I promise you. And, a lot of these, especially in Afghanistan, about what was being claimed in public, I'm going to show you graphically what the reality was on the ground, not just an opinion, but physically, I'm going to show it to you. So we're going to be running that for you too, and kind of let you know who I am a little bit more. Cause I think that, we're kind of forming, like I said, a deep dive family. We're all in this together. We say that a lot of times, and I think it's appropriate and useful for you to know a little bit more about the host of this show. Now, today we're going to start with something a little bit different. And instead of the military stuff, I'm going to show you really the origin, where the first seed was planted for Daniel Davis Deep Dive. And that started 5 years ago. In the summer of 2019, we were already heading into what proved to be what was promising to be a very contentious presidential election. It was pretty clear already that it was likely going to be Biden and Trump, and the two sides were already throwing grenades back and forth at each other verbally. And the country itself was just becoming more and more divisive. The 2016 presidential election really started stirring things up. The 2020 cycle, even in 2019, was starting to be really antagonistic. There was lots of violence going on. The hatred for the other party continued to spike and rise more and more, where people would actually say that if the other side won, that might be justice to use violence against the other side. And of course, we all know what ended up happening on January 21st, or January 6th of 2021, that horrific day when the Capitol was struck. And I didn't know it was going to get quite to this bad, though I was fearing it already, even as soon as the summer of 2019. It did take me by surprise what ended up happening, but this was what I feared. This was what was motivating me to say, I got to do something. It's just not enough for me to sit there and acknowledge and recognize the trends that are going on. Look, my military background, as you're going to see later on, was in the cavalry. And the cavalry in the modern day era, the armored cavalry specifically, our job is to be the front guys that go into combat first. We are supposed to develop the situation, find out what the enemy's doing, be the first ones to contact, figure out what's happening, and then hand off to larger forces to continue the mission in the rear. So by nature, I loved being in the cavalry because I love being thrown into chaotic situations to where I'm required, in those cases, in life or death situations, to be able to figure out what was going on and to provide clarity to follow on commanders so that other people could come behind us and have a good operation on the ground. So I had that same mentality even after I got out of the service in 2015. So by 2019, with all of those things going on that I saw, I looked at the possibilities, whether it was Republican or Democrat. I'm like, all right, well, who can help solve these problems? And unfortunately, neither one of them were even attempting to do so, which just added to my frustration, because really both of them were just wanting to use all of this chaos and violence and divisiveness to their political advantage. They wanted to basically blame the other side for causing all of this stuff. And other than Biden with this sort of thing about wanting to heal the soul of America, nobody was really talking about how to bring the country together to be productive and safe and prosperous again. And I'm talking to many of my friends at the time, and I'm just saying, if there was anybody at all that had some kind of a vision for a positive America for all Americans, not just their tribe, I would vote for that person. And, and we're looking, is there anybody else? Are there any third party candidates? Is there anybody who's got that kind of chops that would be willing to do that? Because our country is filled with so many great people, so many smart people, so many good leaders. I thought there's got to be somebody out there that can run And so that would give us a viable alternative. But there weren't. There were a few third-party candidates, but frankly, I think Johnson, maybe that was in 2016, I can't remember, but even he kind of burned out pretty quick. And in heading into the 2020 cycle, I didn't see anybody that was anything different. There's been some people that have been running for a long time, but nothing new. I just didn't want another politician. So, using my cavalry mentality, I said, I would love to do that job. But, I'm not stupid. I'm not famous. I was on TV on Fox News and CNN and, several other networks. So I had a presence, but no one in any way, shape, or form could say I was, well known or a celebrity. That was only even in a limited portion of the news where people were interested in foreign policy that they might even know I existed. Definitely wasn't rich, so I couldn't, self-fund a campaign to go out there. And of course, then you had the other issue that was always the death knell. Americans just don't vote for third parties. They don't like the two-party system, but they also, that's what we have. So nobody really goes against it. So that would seem to preclude it. But the issues were just getting so bad for America. I thought, you know what, though, if a moonshot kind of possibility, if I could find somebody that had enormous wealth that could put lots of money, I mean, many millions of dollars behind, suddenly promoting me across the country as a new vision, a new force, that kind of thing, then there would be at least a theoretical possibility that it could, catch fire. And who knows? People were so upset with both of the candidates. Poll after poll showed that Americans were sick of the options, but they just didn't have anything else. So if it's possible to be seen and provide a viable alternative, you never know. You might catch fire on this. You might catch lightning in a bottle, as some say. So I thought, okay, the chances are extremely remote, but I am so frustrated and I'm so desperate to do something to turn things around in America. I'm going to at least give it a shot. I knew a couple of people that had that kind of wealth, and I thought, I'm just going to take a risk here. So I spent about $5,000 and I made what looked like a campaign video. Here's a sample of what one might look like, I thought. So the idea was to produce this video, then take it to these people who have some money and say, what do you think? Do you think that there's even a prayer? Do you think that there's enough problems with our country that you'd be willing to do this? Well, you never heard of me. So, the answer turned out to be no. And I thanked them for listening. I was very grateful for the opportunity. And at least I did the what I could with what I had there. And, like I said, we saw what happened at the end of that 2020 election cycle on January 6th of 21. And now then today, things are not much better than that. And now we still have the same two candidates again for this cycle. And we have this probably even more chaotic political environment and all of that. But what I couldn't do back then, we started to say, we had the same ideas here that we got to do something. Well, as it turns out, a guy who'd worked behind the scenes for many, many years behind Fox, contacted me one day and said, hey, I've seen you on some of these other shows, and so one of which that he was working on at the time. And he said, have you ever thought about doing a show of your own? And I said, yeah, I've wanted to do one for a long time, to get the message out so at least people could hear that there is an alternative viewpoint and an alternative way to think about things. And there are some people who aren't crazy. But I said, but I have no earthly idea how to do it. And he said, well, as it turns out, I do. So Gary and I decided to partner late last summer, and it turned out by August, I think, or maybe it was September, we finally started going on the air with this show, and you see where it is today. And really, it's at least something that we can do, because this does satisfy the desire that, okay, well, if we couldn't run for president and provide actual leadership, we can at least provide a vision for the country, and we can hold people accountable for what they're doing. Because a lot of the stuff we have on this show, you're never going to see anywhere else. Nobody wants to talk about it. And even some of the things they have on mainstream media, we show you the story underneath it. We tell you the so what, hence the name, with a deep dive. So we give you the true issues on that. All of that really was the seed that was planted back in 2019. So I want to show you the video that we cut back then. because I think you're going to see a lot of the themes that you see in our show all the time about how much we care for America, how there are so many great people, in this country, but there's some problems that need addressing. We're going to address those, and together we're going to try and find a solution. Now, stick with me. Come back at the end of this video, or stick with me through the end, because I got something I want to share with you on the backside. But for now, here's the video from the summer of 2019. Gary, former Fox. There is so much good in this country. We got so many great people with amazing talents from every background, ethnicity, and belief system you can imagine. And we owe so much of the greatness of our country to a long line of tremendous, inspiring leaders.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
Men who have led us through some really dark moments in our past. Throughout my time in the military, I spent years living abroad, and I can tell you there is no place like America and no place I'd ever want to live than right here. God has blessed the United States like no other country, and I am so grateful to be living here. However, in the last few years, there's been a sense of a creeping fear and divisiveness infecting our country. Fear by itself isn't bad. Being afraid of the right things can actually keep you safe, but it can also be used to manipulate you. Almost 20 years after 9/11, unhealthy fear is still being used to form a lot of bad policies. Though we have the most powerful military on the planet, many hype the fear of Russians, Chinese, North Koreans, and Iranians and have us constantly on the brink of war. At home, Republicans and Democrats fear each other. Some are fearful of anybody who's of a race, religion, or income level that's different from their own. Too often that fear turns to hate. The result isn't just a divided nation, but one in which people are openly hostile towards one another and in which nothing gets done. Left unchecked, this cancer could consume our future. Now is the time to reject fear. Now is the time to reject divisiveness. Now is the time to embrace a new vision for the future. The last thing any of us need is another president from the powerful elite. We don't need somebody who says they understand everyday Americans. We need somebody who is from everyday America. And that's why I'm running for president. We deserve a leader who sees clearly what Americans most need, who genuinely loves the people of this country, and who has a long track record of effective service. I have a vision, a passion, to help create an America where all people are safe, free, and prosperous. A country that is proudly diverse yet unified in its desire to build a better future. And a land where the people don't have to fear war from abroad and can enjoy security and justice at home. I'm not just asking for your vote to be president. I'm asking for you to join with me in forming a movement. There is weakness in divisive fear. There is power in diverse unity. And together, we can help turn that power on. Together, we can help turn that power on. I believe that as much today as the day I said it in 2019, actually more so. You hear us say on this channel all the time, hey folks, we're in this together. We really are. And as I said toward the end of that video, even more so say today, we're looking to form a movement. We don't just want to show you videos. We don't want to just entertain you. We don't even want to just educate you. We want you to join with us. And we actually have this email address we've put up from time to time. And now I want to make sure that it's up front and that you see it a lot here. We the people getting it done. There's the email address on the screen, DanielDavisDeepDiveArmy@gmail.com. If you have ideas for future shows, if there's questions that you have that maybe we're not addressing so far, email us, let us know. If you have guests that you think, well, this would be a great person to have on there, let us know, send it to us. And look, I know that we have folks from all over the world that are watching this show. This is not just an American thing. This is a human thing, this show. We're about really the global community. I'm an American. I served in America. I serve our country. And you know, obviously I'm here in Washington, D.C., so a lot of this is for our country. But this is also for just people, good people all over the world, that we all want to live in a better world. We want to see things improve. We want to see people cooperate more, accept one another more. You don't have to be unified. You just have to have a unity, which means that means accepting one another as they are and not demanding that they change for you or being fearful of those who are different from you. Let people be who they are, but also let us be who we want to be and have the freedom to do that. That's possible, at least to some degree, better than what we have right now. That I can guarantee you. And you and I can help create that world. We can. So we ask you to continue to watching our show here. And one of the things I really like about this channel, as opposed to like some TV show, you get the chance to engage with each other. And I see that a lot in the comment sections, even sometimes during the show here. I see you guys talking to each other, and I see you greeting each other. I absolutely love that, and I encourage you to continue to do more so here. And now we've opened this other venue here for you to actually engage directly with us. So because I can't see those comments on the screen when I'm talking very oftentimes, so I miss some of it. This is your opportunity to be able to contact us anytime you want. And so we invite you to do that. We invite you to keep coming back to our show, and we invite you to please spread this around to everybody. Send this to other people you know. We want you to be part of this movement. We want you to be part of the Deep Dive Army or the Deep Dive family, as I maybe like it a little bit more, because that's how I feel about any kindred spirit, anywhere in the United States or anywhere else in the world. People who have this vision for a better place, a better world, and are willing to do something about it. That's what we want on Deep Dive, and that's why we do this show, for people like you. And we're going to continue to give you this kind of quality stuff every day that we have it. Thank you very much for watching. Very much appreciate you, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Daniel Davis Deep Dive.